Okay, so we're going to start looking at a new type of word problem that we'll never have seen before, word problems that lead to simultaneous equations. And the main thing that we're looking out for in terms of identifying these types of problems is that there will be two unknowns where you can't write both pieces of information with one variable. So, previously we've had things like that two sides are adding up to, say, 50 meters, something like that. Well, then we can say that one is x and the other is 50 minus x. So we can write them both using one variable. So sometimes, though, the way the information's presented to us, we can't straight away write it with one variable. So we have two variables, two unknowns, and two pieces of information about those two unknowns. Let's look at an example of what kind of question might lead to something like this. So we're told that a company manufactures, I'm just going to say makes two types of sofa. Are we American? Two types of couches. And it makes leather and fabric. Leather and fabric. During a single day, the factory will produce 50 sofas, so 50 couches. A leather sofa costs €500 to make, and a fabric sofa, I shouldn't have swapped to sofas now, I should have said couches. A leather couch costs €500 to make, and a fabric couch costs €350 to make, so they're cheaper. If the total production costs for one day comes to, it's going to be thousands, €22,000, how many of each type of couch are made? Of each type of couch are made. Okay. So this seems really complicated. It's definitely not something that we can easily answer or work out in our heads. We've got to do a little bit of work. So the first thing to do is maybe to assign variables to what we're trying to find out, and that is how many of each type of couch. So the first thing we're going to say is that X is going to be the number of leather couches, and Y is going to be the number of fabric couches. Okay? And this is the type of simultaneous equation that I call total and total value. Okay, so we'll look out for these because they're the most common type of simultaneous equation word problem. Total will be my first equation, and total value or total cost will be my second piece of information. Well, where did I get that from? Well, look, in the question, they've told me the total. Let's maybe call it total number and total value so you can see it more easily. So here's my total number. And the second piece of information was my total value or my total cost. So those two pieces of information don't ever directly go together. They will always be the two pieces of information for the two equations that I'm trying to form. There's another thing. always, always, always X and Y is equal to the total number. Think about that. The number of leather couches and the number of fabric couches is going to add together to give me the total number of couches. Okay, that has to be the case. And that will always be where my first equation comes from. We have a trick for the second one as well. The value of X, or cost of X, multiplied by X, multiplied by how many I have, added to the value of Y, how much Y costs, multiplied by the number, will always add together to give you your total value. So if you can remember this fact and this procedure, when you see total number, total value, simultaneous equations, you'll always be able to come up with your two equations. So my first equation, I said that my X and my Y will be my total number. X plus Y is equal to 50. Let's think about that. The number of leather couches plus the number of fabric couches is 50. Yeah, that's exactly what we were told in the question. The second piece of information, I said the value of X. Well, where is the value of X? It's the value or the cost of a leather couch. So a leather couch costs 500. There's my value of X, and I need to multiply that by X. I need to multiply 500 by however many of them I made. Same thing with the value of Y. How much does a fabric couch cost? It costs 350. So I'm going to put that value of Y, 350, or cost of Y if you prefer, multiplied by how many of them I made. And when I do that calculation, it will always be equal to my total value, which in this case is 22,000. Okay? So now I have two simultaneous equations in X and Y, and I have to solve them the way that I've always solved them before. How do I do it? I need to cancel either X or Y. So remember from before, we decide which one we're cancelling. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to cancel Y, I think, because it's got the smaller number in front of it. So I'm going to cancel Y. And how will I do that? I will have to multiply my first equation by 1, and then I will have to subtract equation 2. I'll need to change the signs. So that's what I'm about to do. Let's write that down step by step. So 350 multiplied by equation 1 gives me 350x plus 350y equal to 50 by 350. I'll do that in my calculator and get 17,500. So that's my new equation 1. And then I said I'm going to subtract equation 2. So I'm just going to change all of the signs. 500 becomes negative 500. X. 350y becomes, got my y there, minus 350y. And this becomes minus 22,000. You could have decided to change the signs on the top one as well. So 350 take 500 gives me negative 150x. Those guys cancel, which was the plan. We said we were going to cancel y. And 17,500 take away 22,000. I'm doing this in my calculator. I get negative 4,500. And the last step to find x is to divide by its coefficient. So again, I can do that in my calculator. And we know that a minus divided by a minus gives me plus, because we can't have negative number of couches. So if we got a minus answer here, we'd know that we'd gone wrong. 30. So x is equal to 30. What does that mean? 30 leather couches. And then I sub it back in to equation 1. So 30 plus the number of fabric couches will be 50. Y is 50 minus 30, y is 20. You could nearly just do that in your head and write it down. 20 fabric couches. So there we go. Have we answered the question? The question was, how many of each type of couch are made? And we have. Were we asked to verify our answer? We weren't. If you had time, you could substitute those x and y values back into both of your equations to make sure that they make sense. But they will, they should do. Okay, so it's really worth learning off this procedure for these types of word problems where they've told us a total number and they've told us a total value or a total cost. You can use either value or cost there. They always follow exactly the same method. Okay, thank you.